Hey there guys, and welcome to another episode of Let's Speedrun Link's Awakening DX 100%. So in the last episode we took out Dungeon 3, and in this episode we are going to be going through a large overworld section. There is a lot of overworld stuff to do, so to get started we have to talk to this owl. Unfortunately, well, we could technically skip this owl, kind of, in a way, using bomb triggers, but it's not very practical to do so. Would only save like a couple seconds. So first things first, we have a seashell under here we want to grab. This will put me at 5 seashells, and that is a very important thing to note. Coming up here, want to get bomb arrows equipped. And you can like kind of press to the left, like right before you hit the door, or left or right, either direction, to kind of cancel your dash so you don't bonk into the wall before it blows up. Coming up in this cave, there are some fast strats, but they can be kind of tough to get as far as timing is concerned. So let me see if I can get him. There we go. So that's the first strat. Worst case, if you just can't get that, then don't worry about it. Just jump over the spark and charge through the blocks that way. Up here, we have another kind of fast strat. You want to boot up here, cancel the dash by pressing right, and then you can beat that spark there. Again, small time savers, but those are the optimal strats. Up here, we want to buffer bomb arrow. I like to put on sword and boots right here. Grab this heart piece, and then save and quit. And coming up here, we have our first actual part of the trading sequence. So the reason that we have this stick, even though we didn't trade for it, is that once you beat Dungeon 3, like you're required to have the stick to get the leaves, to get past Richard's Villa, to get the key to the dungeon. But if you do Villa Skip, the game only checks that you have the instrument in your inventory. It doesn't check that you actually had any of the trading sequence finished already. So basically, it just kind of assumes that you had the stick because, hey, you have the third instrument. So anyway, coming up here, we have our 6th seashell, and this is the reason for the routing difference between myself and Zorlax. If I got that seashell below the shop, I would have 6 right now, which means that I would not be able to get this seashell right here, which would mean getting another one that would be way slower. So walk in here, or boot dash in here, whichever one. Try and stand like kind of right underneath it to the left side so that you can save a few frames, and there we go. There also is a seashell right here. This is why I have sword equipped. You don't need it equipped, to be honest, but I like to have it equipped so that I can just slash these bushes because it's a little faster, and you can like kill enemies that get in your way if they give you trouble. But actually my RNG, has been pretty dang good this run, or this episode so far. So here we put on bracelet for pretty much like, oh wow, that didn't kill him. For like literally just picking up that rock and that seashell. I like to pause right here so that I can buffer a sword right here. It is important to note that you do want to be wall clipped. So the reason I go a little bit up left here is so that it'll push me down so that I can get that confirmation that I'm wall clipped. And the reason that's important is because this guy, if you are not wall clipped, he will hit you, potentially into the water. That wastes a bunch of time. So you want to try and make sure you're wall clipped. If you bonk, it's whatever. If you aren't wall clipped and you take damage, it's also whatever. But again, optimal strats. This guy can be a bit of a troll. If he does that, you just want to go down to the right, kind of like that, except a little bit faster than I did. Coming up here, I personally like to equip boots and feather, or boots and bracelet before entering this room, because basically you just want to be mashing A to talk to him as soon as possible, but if you have your sword out and you misjudge, you'll just start slashing your sword and you'll sit in place. Do not mash B here, or else you will have to talk to him again, which wastes a little time. Just mash A. And now you can mash A and B, and here, press B to get rid of this whole text box line. Oh, don't talk to the bunny. And now we're going to go back to Mabe Village, and we will get something that we actually entirely skip in any percent, which is the ocarina. Also, something to note as well, you can actually do a thing where you can charge your boots up before you actually, like, release a boot charge. Yeah, that was a poor way of wording it. But basically, if you hear how there are, like, four little steps before he charges. Well, if you want, you can actually buffer a boot charge by doing like 2 or 3 of those before you grab an object. So like that, and then I run much faster, or I charge much faster going out of it. Small optimizations again, but hey, that's what speedrunning's all about. Oops. Ooh. That's not supposed to happen. Ideally, you would just charge right up there and just go right into the bed. Up here, we are going to skip like this whole thing by just super jumping, which is kind of awesome. And then put your boots and bracelet right back on. Get ocarina, save and quit. And you can just hold down here. So this is like an example of a place where you could charge like 2 or 3 of those, 2 or 3 of the like steps before you start grabbing the rock. Also important to note, I believe not yet, but after we go do this fishing minigame, I believe that's when Zorlax gets the Bow Wow photo and returns Bow Wow, I think. I'm actually not 100% sure. I know it's on this visit, I just don't remember if he does it before or after fishing minigame, but I would assume before, or after, I mean. So fishing minigame, pretty straightforward. So say yes here, just hold right and mash AB, wait a little bit so you don't go before the fish is out, or before the fish grabs on. To my knowledge, there's no way to avoid that first fish, or if there is, it probably wouldn't be slower, or it wouldn't be faster. I am mixing up every word today. So here we want to say yes, play again. And now we want to basically do the same thing, AB mashing until you get like right here. Grab this big fish, just mash the whole way, and there we go. We just got a heart piece, and in doing so, we also got a heart container, which skips a couple seconds of text. We want to press right here and say no, because otherwise we will play the fishing minigame again, wasting some money and some time. So I believe Zorlax gets the picture right now. I come down and do this, which I believe he also does on this trip, if I'm not mistaken. And the reason I got that now instead of when I was returning Bow Wow is that boot movement makes it just a little bit faster to do it. Enter and exit this house so that we can set our save and quit point there. That'll be important in just a little bit. And now we're going to go to the right here, pick up Marin, have a little talk. Whoops. And here's another place where you can charge up your boots. And here, okay, here's, guys, the most important trick of the game. The nut grab. That's actually just a small little swag trick. It really doesn't matter, but the nut grab is fun. So here we just have a long cutscene with nothing really to note, to be honest. Up until recently, I thought that the end of this, you wanted to only mash A, or else you would potentially say no to her text and have to repeat the cutscene, but for some reason, apparently I've just had it wrong this whole time. You can mash A and B. B does nothing, A confirms. So just mash A and B throughout this whole time, and you'll be fine. Right here, buffer a save and quit to save and quit as quickly as you can. Now we want sword, or boots and feather. Coming up here, we have 2 different things to do with Marin in this direction. I personally like to go down first. It's personal preference, really, because I'm pretty sure they're exactly the same time. There's really no reason why it would be any slower or faster to do the picture before the seashell, or vice versa. So it is up to you. And this is really just, this is one of the largest divergences from any percent, to be honest. Like, with the exception of, you know, with the exception of some stuff later in the game, doing Color Dungeon. Oh, whoops. And you want to buffer a save and quit there as well. But yeah, this split has this is the first split where it starts really feeling like 100%. Also, that is one thing to note. You can, if you time it just right, you can jump to down right like that, charge your boots, and then do a boot jump over that pit. But the timing can be a little tight, so if you can't get it right away, no worries. You want to bonk the top of this tree, so that way the seashell will come out the bottom, so then you can charge your boots. So bonk off this, charge your boots, and dash right into it, save and quit, and we are in there. We're almost done with Marin-related stuff. Coming up is my favorite cutscene in the game. Also, I think it's before the well heart piece. That seashell that I got much earlier in the game on the way back from Dungeon 2, Zorlax gets that now. So if you're following Zorlax's route, go get that seashell first, and then come down here. And actually, wait, nope. I am wrong. Well heart piece first, then go get the seashell. My apologies. So get this photo, get this heart piece. If you are following Zorlax's route, you would now go get that seashell, because what you want to do is you get the seashell, save and quit, and then you appear down here, as opposed to having to backtrack. That's right. I almost forgot. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. Now we have our final photo in Mabe Village, the rooster photo. I actually just thought of a thing that I've never said to anyone before, or no one's ever said to me, but hey, we have our dick pic and now we have a cock pic. So hey, two phallic photos in one run. Jesus Christ. Okay, anyway, moving on. We have one thing to note here. This is where I will get this this seashell right here. Technically, this is like one of the time losses between my route and Zorlax's, is it's faster to slash through the 4 bushes up here on the way to the shop than it is to lift these, but it just works out for my routing, and it is a very, very minimal difference. So here we go. Now we go down to this warp, trying to avoid grass but also move in straight lines when possible. We take this warp twice to get to Animal Village. Whoops. Try to avoid bonking. One thing that can be kind of tough in this game is because you can move while using the boots, while charging up the boots, you can very easily bonk if you misjudge how long or how short you need to hold down the boot button. So that's one thing that you'll get used to over time. There are a couple of particular instances, like cutting that corner in the Animal Village can be prone to bonking if you just hold the boot button. Okay, so no walrus skip in this run. Now we are on our way to the desert. And you want to wall clip here and equip bomb arrows. And the reason you want to do that is you come up, buffer an arrow, shoot 2 to avoid Landmola's text. Basically, there was a mini-boss there that was Landmola. His hitbox is 1 block to the left of the one Link enters from, but with wall clipping, the game thinks that we're on both tiles at once, so we can actually hit his hitbox with arrows and kill him with 2 arrows, instantly killing him. And if you time it well, if you shoot the arrows quick enough, you skip his text before it even shows up. Now we want to fall down into this pit, and what I do here is after we fall down, oh, whoops, not that, buffer up an arrow, or up A and B to buffer a bomb arrow. Now we want boots and bracelet. And now we get this heart piece, come down here, We're getting there. We're almost done with this split. Actually, not too close to done, but, you know. So now we come down here, get this seashell, and save and quit. Okay. Talk to this owl. And we have, I think, one more heart piece to get before we are done, which is up here. And here's another situation where you charge a boot, buffer a bomb arrow, and then here we actually want to go feather and bombs for a bomb trigger we're going to be doing. So that's another thing where you cancel the dash just at the last second so you don't bonk against the wall. Jump up here, line yourself up with this screen transition, and then you can either pause or pause buffer this bomb trigger or not pause buffer it. It's really personal preference, but this one you shouldn't need to pause a second time. You should be able to just hold up and bomb, and you should be pretty much good to go. There you go. And save and quit. And now we want Boots Bracelet yet again. Oh. I tried a wall clip there for a little bit optimal movement, but if you bonk like that, it's not worth it. So, there we go. And now here, we are going to get the Windfish's Ballad from Marin. This is another situation where I thought for the longest time that you do not want to mash B through this cutscene, or else you would have to listen to it again. But apparently you can just press A and B at once, and it works out just fine. Although you definitely do want to say yes. If you accidentally hit right and say no at the end of this, you will have to repeat this cutscene. And that's like a very, very big time loss for kind of nothing. So there we go. Oh, don't get caught on the bear. And now we are finally, after 17.5 minutes, we are now on our way to Dungeon 4. And the reason we activated that warp all the way back after D2 is because of this. This saves a good chunk of time over avoiding it, going to that warp before and walking all the way north. This saves some time because we're just right next to it. And this can be pretty trolly set of tiles as far as enemy movement. Wall clipping is your friend, but sometimes even that will not be enough. Oh. I don't know what it is about today. I am just bonking all over the place in this tutorial, which is not ideal. Here you want sword and feather. Optimal way to move through here is jump here, break this crystal while you're doing that, put on boots, and then just boot over to the staircase. Now this heart piece, you can actually get it now. And I believe Zorlax gets it on his second trip through this, so not right now, but on his way to, I believe, Rooster Skip much, much later is when he gets this. I'll try to point that out if I can remember. But basically, the way you would do this, let me save state, is just line yourself up with the screen transition, up left. It's very similar to that first one. So you can get this heart piece this way. Zorlax does this a little bit later on in the run. I actually don't bomb trigger this one anymore, which I'll show you guys later on. Again, I think the difference between those two strats is about 1 second, so it's really just what you're comfortable with. I try to avoid as many diagonal bomb triggers as I possibly can, because I have a tendency to mess those up. So if I don't need to do them, I won't, except in the case of, well, you know, the one in the log cave, but you know what I mean. So, yeah. So anyway, up here is actually a very swag trick called obstacle skip, which is a 1/4 second time save, but if you fail it and fall in the pit, then it is a 2-second time loss. So this is very much a swag trick that you don't need to go for. But if you just line yourself up right, which I did not actually, unfortunately, I was a bit too low. But if you line yourself up right, you can just jump over this thing. And see right there, that actually would have been pretty much made it. We have the opportunity to do this trick 3 times in the run. And so if you fail it even a single time, then it would have been faster to not go for it at all. And I don't know what it is about obstacle skips today. There we go. That's what it's supposed to be. My gameplay today is not very good, but I'm getting the point across, I hope. So, up here, jump for some fast diagonal movement. Thing to note about movement in water is that you move a bit slower in water. So if you can jump over water at any point, that's faster. So usually the fastest way to move through these screens is jump so that you land in a screen transition like that. Something along those lines is usually a bit faster. And then we jump down here, and with that, we are at Dungeon 4. So, as I expected, longest episode so far. There is a lot of stuff to cover in that. Not so much in terms of new tricks or strats, but just a lot of content, a lot of things to cover. So that is going to do it for this episode. And in the next episode, we will take on Dungeon 4, which will hopefully be a very short episode. But with all that said, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.